Question 1. The evolution of secure data exchange among system administrators in distributed environments has emphasized GPG's importance. Anna needs to send a sensitive configuration file to her manager using GPG. Which of the following is the most appropriate approach? A. Encrypt with Anna's private key so only she can read it. B. Encrypt with manager's public key so only they can decrypt. C. Encrypt with Anna's public key and send it. D. Decrypt it first and then send over SS8. Answer. Correct answer. B. Encrypt with manager's public key so only they can decrypt. Brain explanation. DPG encryption for others requires the recipient's public key so only their private key can decrypt. Using Anna's keys would not secure the file for the manager. See the new privacy handbook and OpenParaf C4880. Question 2. Taking into account the default security policy in a Linux environment that disallows global write permissions, a new system admin named Carlos configures a user creation script. However, all created files are globally writable. Which UMask value should Carlos set to correct this? A. 0002. B. 0077. C. 0022. D. 0777. Answer. Correct answer. C. 0022. Brain explanation. UMask of 0022 removes write permission for group and others, keeping the owner with full access. 0777 disables all permissions. 0077 restricts access too much and 0002 still allows group write. Refer to Linux file permission and UMask policy, POSIX. Question 3. In response to multiple complaints about missing print jobs, system engineer Isa Tanaka investigates the CUP service. She finds that print jobs are queuing but not printing. The printer is connected and online. What is the most probable cause? A. The spool directory is read-only. B. The printer is paused in CUPS. C. The CUPS daemon is not running. D. The user lacks sudo permissions. Answer. Correct answer. B. The printer is paused in CUPS. Brain explanation. Even if the printer is online and CUPS is running, paused printers block job processing. Check via LPI P or CUPS web interface. This is common operational issue in print server management. Refer to CUPS admin guide SS. Question 4. In a modern context of hybrid work environments, developer Hugo configures his workstation to access a remote GUI application via KEK forwarding or SSH. However, executing GUI app shows the error cannot open display. Which action is most appropriate to resolve this? A. Restart the X server on the remote machine. B. Set display to localhost 10.0 manually. C. Enable X forwarding in X to config. D. Set X host plus on the remote server. Answer. Correct answer. C. Enable X forwarding in X to config. Brain explanation. SSH must allow X forwarding on the server side. Setting display manually won't help if forwarding isn't enabled. See OpenSH manual and X security extensions. Question 5. The underlying principle of least privilege suggests fine-grained pseudo control. System administrator Zoya needs to let a group of junior admins restart end and X only, not other services. What's the safest configuration? A. Grant sudo for all binsystemtool commands. B. Use not password for all service restarts. C. Restrict to binsystemtool restart end and X service. D. Allow access to ethernet DNX. Answer. Correct answer. C. Restrict to binsystemtool restart end and X service. Brain explanation. This enforces principle of least privilege. Sudo supports command-specific rules like admin user all equals or not password. Binsystemtool restart end and X service. See sudo as 5 and sys benchmark for Linux. Question 6. Upon closer examination of erratic system logs, senior engineer Emma finds journal logs rotating every few minutes, causing loss of critical data. What's the first step she should take? A. Increase log level to capture more info. B. Check systemxuse in journal.conf. C. Restart rsyslog to reset journal. D. Disable persistent logging. Answer. Correct answer. B. Check systemxuse in journal.conf. Brain explanation. Journal uses storage limits like system accuse or runtime accuse. If too small, logs rotate too quickly, adjust values in xsystemjournal.conf. See system journal date and journal 1. Question 7. To better understand strange application behavior, analyst Julian inspects the server showing dates in French instead of English. The locale is set as fr. Upfade. Which environment variable should Julian override temporarily to fix this for? A session A. LAN. B. LCAll. C. Language. D. Locale.conf. Answer. Correct answer. B. LCAll. Brain explanation. LCAll overrides all other locale variables, temporarily setting LC or equals NS. Upfade ensures consistent behavior regardless of system defaults. Refer to GLIG locale documentation and locale 7 man page. Question 8. In what ways can improper configuration of DNS client settings impact Linux system behavior? Administrator Meyer observes delayed SSH connections and suspects DNS issues. Which client-side misconfiguration most likely causes this? A. Missing etcresolve.conf file. B. Incorrect netmask in etnetwork interfaces. C. Overriding hostname in etchosts. D. Hostname not resolving in nswitch.conf. Answer. Correct answer A. Missing etcresolve.conf file. Brain explanation. ENSClient config is critical. If etcresolve.conf is absent or malformed, hostname resolution fails, causing timeouts in SSH or sudo. System may fall back to etchosts, but most apps rely on resolve.conf. See Glick Resolver 3 and man5resolve.conf. Question 9. When evaluating the merits of alternative password handling strategies, sysadmin considers disabling user passwords directly in xsudo. Which line entry best represents the disabled password? A. Username style. B. Username x. C. Username. D. Username. Answer. Correct answer. C. Username. Brain explanation. The in the password field locks the account by preventing password-based login. Star may also be used, but is standard for account lockout. X is placeholder in xpassword, not xsudo. See Shadow 5 and Password 1 Linux man pages. Question 10. Based on the information shared in a recent security audit, consultant Rahane is required to ensure both confidentiality and authenticity of a message sent to a government server. WikiPG operation ensures both A. Encrypt with recipient's private key and sign with sender's key. B. Encrypt with recipient's public key and sign with sender's private key. C. Sign and encrypt with sender's public key. D. Encrypt using symmetric cipher only. Answer. Correct answer. B. Encrypt with recipient's public key and sign with sender's private key. Brain explanation. This ensures that only the recipient can decrypt via private key and that the message origin is verified via signature. Symmetric encryption lacks identity verification. See OpenParF C4 880 Question 11. To illustrate this point, sysadmin Leo configures Crony for NTP synchronization. After restart, time detector still shows the clock as unsynchronized. What is the most likely reason? A. Crony service is masked. B. NTP servers are unreachable. C. Drift file is missing. D. Time detector does not support Crony. Answer. Correct answer. B. NTP servers are unreachable. Brain explanation. If Crony can't connect to time servers, sync fails. Use chronic sources to verify server reachability. Time detector reports sync status from system to time sync, but also recognizes Crony integration. See crony.conf 5 and Linux NTP best practices. Question 12. Contrary to popular belief, using netstat is often deprecated in modern systems. Admin wants to list only listening TCP ports on the local server, which command gives the most accurate result. A. Netstat. Tunerple. grep listen b ss ltc lsof I pdtc dump port 80. Answer. Correct answer. B. ss lt. Brain explanation. SS is faster, more accurate, and actively maintained unlike netstat. SS LT lists listening TCP sockets. TCE dump captures traffic, not listeners. LSAR lists open files but is broader in scope. CSS 8 and Prog 5 for socket info. Question 13. In contrast to regular user accounts, Administrative Lab needs to create a non-login account for a background process. Which of the following is best practice? A. User app. S. Das knowledge in service user. B. Adusa. G. No group. C. User ad. M. G. Root service user. D. User ad. S. Bin bash service user. Answer. Correct answer, a user app. SS knowledge in service user brain explanation. R creates system account and settings shell to as knowledge and prevents login. This is standard for daemons and agents. CMAN user ad and FHS guidelines for service users. Question 14. A critical examination of security policy shows junior developer Azar has been running unauthorized cron jobs. Which configuration file can be used to deny access to cron service? A. Ecron. Allow. B. Ecron. Deny. C. ecsecurityaccess.conf. D. ecchido. Answer. Correct answer. B. Ecron. Deny brain explanation. Presence of Ecron. Deny with the username restricts access to cron. If Ecron allow exists, only listed users can run cron. These files control access to scheduled tasks per cron 8 and man 5 cron. Deny. Question 15. The correlation between display resolution issues and EC misconfigurations is well known. Admin Sakib installs a GUI on a minimal server and faces in no screens found error. What's the most likely root cause? A. Missing window manager. B. Unconfigured zorg.conf. C. No ECX directory. D. X server is listening on wrong port. Answer. Correct answer. B. Unconfigured zorg.conf. Brain explanation. X relies on xorg.conf for auto detection. In headless servers, detection fails, requiring manual config. Missing window manager causes GUI issues, not screen detection. Czorg1 and freedesktop.org specs. Question 16. Throughout the course of log file audits, admin Naylor realizes that large log files aren't rotating, causing disk usage alerts. The log rotate config is present. What's the most likely misstep? A. Rotation interval set to yearly. B. Log rotate not installed. C. Log rotate cron job not running. D. File is not in varlog. Answer. Correct answer. C. Log rotate cron job not running. Brain explanation. Log rotate typically runs via daily cron. If cron or systemd timer for log rotate isn't active, rotation doesn't happen even with correct config. Use log rotate. D for debug. See log rotate 8 and ecron deli log rotate. Question 17. The effectiveness of a secure user provisioning process depends heavily on initial defaults. Admin Cold finds that new users created using user do not have a home directory. He checks the eclogen defs file. What settings should he verify? A. Home dia create equals yes. B. Create home yes. C. Dia mode equals 0700. D. User home equals home. Answer. Correct answer. B. Create home yes. Brain explanation. The create home variable in eclogen defs governs whether home directory is automatically created when user is added. If set to no, you must pass empty user add. Other options shown are invalid or unrelated. See login defs 5. Question 18. One might argue that encrypting sensitive server logs before archiving them is an overkill. However, admin must ensure that logs sent off-site are unreadable without a key. What's the most secure and automation-friendly way to encrypt logs before transfer? A. Encrypt using Sumer GPG encryption with passwords stored in plain text. B. Encrypt using public key encryption with recipient's key. C. Use OpenSSL to encrypt logs with DES. D. Use base encoding before transfer. Answer. Correct answer. B. Encrypt using public key encryption with recipient's key. Brain explanation GPG public key encryption ensures only the recipient with the private key can decrypt. It's preferred over symmetric methods in automation due to key-based trust. OpenSSL with DES is weak and base is not encryption. See NUC manual. Question 19. The foundation of secure access policies, especially in cloud environments, is the use of SSH key-based authentication. Sysadmin Oksana disables password login in X to config, but users still authenticate with passwords. What's the likely cause? A. POP authentication is set to no. B. SSH agent forwarding is disabled. C. Password authentication is still set to yes. D. Firewall is blocking port 22. Answer. Correct answer. C. Password authentication is still set to yes. Brain explanation. To enforce key-only login, both password authentication no and challenger response authentication no must be set in SSH deconfig. Changes require restart of ESH deconfig 5 and open hardening guidelines. Question 20. Examining the consequences of using systeme over cron for scheduling, sysadmin Rosa creates a timer unit to run a service weekly. The timer is active, but the service never runs. What's the most likely issue? A. On unit activity, value is invalid. B. The service is disabled. C. The timer and service units do not share the same name prefix. D. Timer is missing exec dot. Answer. Correct answer. C. The timer and service units do not share the same name prefix. Brain explanation. Systemd timer like backup. Timer must trigger service named backup.service. Mismatched names prevent execution. See Systemd. Timer 5 and Red Hat Systemd timer docs for detailed matching rules. Question 21. In summary of forensic logs review, admin Tomas needs to change the system clock without affecting the hardware clock. Which command achieves this? A. Buick. Set B. Time detectful set time. C. Date. S followed A. Buick. Systoke D. System to restart time. Answer. Correct answer. B. Time detectful set time. Brain explanation. Time detectable set time modifies only the system clock, leaving the hardware clock untouched unless explicitly synchronization work affects the hardware clock directly. S modifies system time but isn't persistent. See time detectable. Question 22. Focusing specifically on user shell initialization, admin Karen notices login shells behave differently than interactive non-login shells. Which of the following best explains this? Interactive shells don't process ekbashc. B. Login shells do not run bashc. C. Non-login shells ignore ek profile. D. All shell types use bash profile. Answer. Correct answer. B. Login shells do not run bashc. Brain explanation. Login shell source bash profile while non-login interactive shells read bashc. To ensure consistent settings, bash profile often includes bashc. This distinction is crucial for environment customization. See bash 1 under invocation. Question 23. The growing trend in cybersecurity involves kernel-level hardening. Admin Joseph wants to disable module loading at runtime for added protection. What is the most effective method? A. BCH mod. Lecon spin probe. B. Set kernel modules disabled equals 1 via sysctl. C. Set immutable bit on libmodules. D. Remove all co-files. Answer. Correct answer. B. Set kernel modules disabled equals 1 via sysctl. Brain explanation. Writing 1 to proxy kernel modules disabled disables module loading permanently until reboot. This is an advanced hardening measure. It's irreversible for the current session. See kernel documentation and sysctl 8. Question 24. In response to missing rotated logs, sysadmin Samira discovers that compressed log files are missing. Which setting in the log rotate configuration could be responsible? A. Delay compress used without compress. B. Notif empty is set. C. Copper truncate is missing. D. Daily is not specified. Answer. Correct answer A. Delay compress used without compress. Brain explanation. Delay compress postpones compression by 1 rotation cycle but requires compress to function. Without it, no compression occurs. This mistake is common in custom log rotate configs. See log rotate 8 for directive dependencies. Question 25. The central argument for supporting multiple user locales involves tailoring experiences. Admin Abbas configures A system where one user must use Japanese locale, others use default English. What's the best approach? A. Set LC or equals JP. Update in its environment. B. Set locale in the user's bash profile. C. Use update locale to change system-wide default. D. Manually override lang in et profile. Answer. Correct answer. B. Set locale in the user's bash profile. Brain explanation. For user-specific locale changes, modify that bash profile or profile. System-wide changes affect all users. Using LC all overrides all settings, so it's typically reserved for troubleshooting. See locale 7 and in documentation. Question 26. An organization using predictive policing AI tools is experiencing growing public concern over bias in its AI models. To address this concern using ISO 42001:2023, which of the following should be prioritized? A. Ignoring the concerns as they fall under the jurisdiction of law enforcement authorities. B. Conducting a retrospective data cleansing activity without stakeholder involvement. C. Performing an AI impact assessment and engaging stakeholders transparently. D. Limiting transparency to avoid legal risks during active investigations. Answer. Correct answer, C. Explanation. ISO 42001 emphasizes transparency, accountability, and stakeholder engagement, especially in high-risk AI applications such as predictive policing. Impact assessments are crucial here. Question 27. A company implementing ISO 42001:2023 is concerned about the lifecycle management of AI models, especially model drift. What is the most appropriate control? A. Periodically retraining AI models without validation. B. Ignoring model drift as long as initial performance was acceptable. C. Establishing performance monitoring and continuous improvement mechanisms. D. Using outdated data sets to ensure consistency with original models. Answer. Correct answer, C. Explanation. ISO 42001 requires AI systems to be continuously monitored and improved to maintain accuracy, effectiveness, and trustworthiness throughout the lifecycle. Question 20. During a risk assessment, an AI implementer identifies that a facial recognition system disproportionately misidentifies people of certain ethnicities. What is the most ISO 42001 compliant next step? A. Deploying the system anyway to meet a client deadline. B. Addressing the issue through bias mitigation and fairness testing. C. Not disclosing the issue until after deployment. D. Removing all demographic data from the model. Answer. Correct answer, B. Explanation. ISO 42001 emphasizes fairness, non-discrimination, and technical controls like bias testing to address inequities in AI system behavior. Question 29. Which of the following is a key leadership responsibility under ISO 42001:2023? A. Delegating all AI management tasks to technical staff. B. Avoiding involvement in risk and compliance decisions. C. Ensuring AI policy alignment with organizational strategy and values. D. Relying solely on legal teams to manage ethical issues. Answer. Correct answer, C. Explanation. Leadership must ensure that the AI management system is aligned with the organization's strategic direction, ethics, and governance structures. Question 30. An AI model's training dataset contains personal information. What is the most appropriate action under ISO 42001 combined with privacy requirements? A. Discarding privacy concerns because the AI model is proprietary. B. Using synthetic data without any validation. C. Implementing data anonymization and data minimization strategies. D. Ignoring consent if data was publicly scraped. Answer. Correct answer, C. Explanation. ISO 42001 integrates privacy and data protection requirements, and anonymization and minimization are key controls for lawful and ethical AI.